An accompaniment is a background pattern usually played with the left hand that accompanies the melody, usually played with the right hand, which helps solidify both the rhythm and the harmony of the pieces that you're playing. Today I'm going to show you the most common types of left hand accompaniment patterns. The first pattern that you should know about is, okay, the first one is just a regular chord pattern. Now for all of these, I wrote these in a standard 1-4-5-7-1 progression. Just mean that we're using the same chords throughout. I'm not going to get in the nitty-gritty of what the actual, theory is behind these chords, just the pattern. So a lot of times with your left hand, when you have a right hand melody, you have just simple chords, probably the most common type. Now, you're going to see this often in your music, but if you're also learning how to compose, this is super useful as well, because if you're trying to figure out a good pattern to do with your left hand to go along with your melody, well, that's one option for you, the most basic type. All right, we're going to get on into something a little bit more exciting here, which is this simple arpeggio pattern. We put this one in 3-4, so you might see something like this. I'm just going to play with the left hand first, or once. So I have the same notes. I'm just being played as an arpeggio. If you don't know, an arpeggio is, instead of you playing the chord all at once, you're just playing it one note at a time. So you're going to see that one pretty often. Okay, building off of that is the extended arpeggio pattern. So I'm going to play the pattern first, and then I'm going to put in a melody over top so you can kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like. So here we go. So instead of just playing the 3 notes in the arpeggio, we're extending it by playing the bottom note of the chord again here. You'd see patterns like this, like in the song Hallelujah, that song a lot, and many, many others. So you will see this one quite often. So here we go. I'm going to put a melody to this, and we're going to see how it goes. Just like that. Okay, let's take a look at our next pattern here. Okay, this one is called a waltz pattern, and any kind of waltz pattern, the definition of a waltz is like a dance piece in 3-4. You can't have a waltz in 4. That makes it something entirely different. So here we go. So basically with a waltz pattern, what you're doing is you're playing the bottom note of the chord plus the other 2 notes together twice. You could even perhaps imagine yourself dancing to this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just like that. I played in 4-4 for a second. So remember, not 4-4, you got to play it in 1, 2, 3, 3-4. So there was the waltz pattern. Okay, let's take a look at a few examples here. We're going to look at a canon in D. Now there are many, many versions of canon in D, but as you can see from this first one here in the left hand, what pattern do we have going on? Should look familiar, right? Now it's in a different chord progression than I was playing, but hey, that's the extended arpeggio pattern. So just showing you that in a real piece of sheet music that, you can pick these things out, and they are very useful to learn, especially in canon and D, because it's the same kind of pattern over and over, and the better you are at playing these patterns, the better off you'll be. All right, I think you get the idea because it just repeats over and over again. Okay, here's a classic für Elise, right? So für Elise has this left hand pattern, which is the arpeggio pattern. It's opened up a little bit more. So you're going to see variations on all these patterns that we've talked about today. Okay, I think you get the idea, but let me scroll down because there is another section here. Now this should look familiar here, this section. Now, what am I doing with my left hand? Well, that part kind of breaks the mold a little bit, but this right here, we talked about this today. What is it called? It's called an alberti bass, where you play the notes of the chord and then you alternate between that top note and the middle note there. Just like that. So as you can see that this piece actually has a bunch of them all in one. See, I told you you're going to find these in real pieces. There's one I want to talk about here that I didn't have quite listed because I didn't know whether to really, if it really counts or not, but I guess it does. This is what we call a droning pattern here in this section here. You're just repeating the same note over and over and over again. I guess it is an accompaniment pattern, but I wasn't sure whether to include it since it's so simple, but here you go. Just like that. And then I think that does it because once you get there, oh, you have simple chords here. So this für Elise is a great example since it has like all of them. So I'm just playing chords there. And then when I get back here, I'm playing the open arpeggios again until the end. The number one thing I want you to do is subscribe to the channel if you found this lesson useful, because we have a lot of lessons coming out all the time. We meet live Fridays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want you to check out this video here where we talked more about how to train your left hand. Make sure you take a look at that one. All right, everybody, your piano teacher Tim here, signing out. Have a great day.